saith the wise among.
Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads, the very bestest show dedicated to the Baldur's Gate franchise. I'm Cameron, and I play Ticklevar the Sorcerer.
And I'm Danny. And I play Balthazar, the Barbarian.
Hey, you know how I host this show normally?
You're like the, because the host is
like
determined.
The MC.
Yeah, the host is the person that does the intro, right?
It's the person who speaks first, yeah.
Yeah.
And the person who like makes sure that we like get through all the stuff and generally determines what's in the episode.
Correct. Yeah.
Keeps us moving. But you're the host of this episode now.
Because you wanted to cover this content in episode 8.
Correct.
And
I'm going to leave it. I have now, maybe, I haven't edited that episode yet, but there's a chance I'll just take all of that chatter about what goes in the episode and just put it at the end so people can hear how the sausage is made.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Mm-hmm.
We had a stern disagreement about it.
We had a stern disagreement, and you know what's wild? It's been a little.
No, don't give them behind the curtain. Don't tell them.
Oh, okay.
We recorded that mere moments ago.
That's true. Although I will say we are kind of right here in episode 9 and episode 10, according to our plan. We're at the halfway point of this season of Mages and Murderdads.
Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes, of the BG3 season.
You think there's going to be any DLC before we're done?
Well, no, I don't think so. I don't want
there
to
release like a new fella.
I don't want
a guy who shows up and says, I eat paint.
Sven it's just a OC insert. It's just Sven,
and he eats paint.
Well, it wasn't leaded back then, right?
Not in the Forgotten Realms. No.
Not in the Forgotten Realms. No.
I wonder what the composition of paint is.
Tannins.
You think a lot of tannins?
It's a lot of black walnut based paint. You got a lot of browns, a lot of coffee browns. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Disgusting.
But I'm the host, and this is the midway point. And due to the way that we have structured the show, as we talked about in episode 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What? Mm-hmm. Yep.
We pre-play the acts before beginning them.
Yeah.
I am going to reveal one sausage-making fact.
Oh, no. He's going to tell you about all his herbs and spices over here.
Cameron's beaten the game at this point.
Yeah,
the whole game. Not just the first time, but recorded the Ticklevar run. The run is in the books.
Yeah. So have you, right?
Correct. Oh, long ago.
Long ago, he says.
However, we are now in kind of that awkward period where the most recent episode aired is in Act 1. The most recent stuff played is in Act 3. But today we're talking about the beating heart of Act 2. And I think you take all those ingredients and you sprinkle them into your cauldron. You know what you get? You get a goofy episode.
Is that some sort of technical term that you're inventing?
Do y'all not talk about this? Do y'all not?
A goofy episode?
A goofy episode, yeah. Do you know? I feel like I'm able to identify these. Ooh. Like when I'm listening to Just King things, I'm like, is this a goofy episode? Not, and I know within 10 minutes.
So roughly 1% of the runtime.
It's true. Yeah, they're early signs.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell the vibe, and you know how you can tell with this episode because I'm literally saying it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving them the business here.
Yeah. I didn't want to record the stuff in last episode because I had some interesting side fights in this act. I think this act is pretty lean in a lot of ways. There's a lot of, the ratio of signal to noise or the ratio of plot vital stuff to not is way different from Act 1. And in this act, kind of the tertiary stuff all still kind of more or less relates to the general plot of Act 2 as it is. And you know, I want to talk about that stuff. I want to talk about the stuff that you truly could skip. And as we find out, it may be that one of us truly did skip some of it. We'll see. Mm-hmm. But as is tradition, I'm now the host. So, Cameron, you've got to pick up some of my duties.
Like,
summarizing the plot of Baldur's Gate 3 up until this moment, which is only appropriate because we're halfway through. Go.
Bug and Brain.
Mm-hmm.
Go Druid Grove. Druid say, I help Bug and Brain. Kill Goblin. Go kill Goblin. Goblins say, we got Bug Brain 2. Bug Cult. Go Bug Cult Tower. Go back Druid Grove. Save Druid Grove. Druid Grove, leave. Fight Githyanki. Githyanki big. Githyanki house. Leave Githyanki house. Go Act 2. Act 2, big tower. Bad curse. Bad curse. So bad. Go in. Some zombie, some not. Me no zombie. You zombie. Go to the entryway of Big Tower. Fight Ketheric Thorm. That's it.
Wait, you fought Ketheric Thorn at this point?
No, but we have to.
Oh, yeah, that is, you're giving a little bit of a sneak preview. Sorry,
well, it's not sneak preview. It's you know, acclimating them to the potential thing to come.
And also, I'm pretty sure at this point in the act, if you hit the J key on your little keyboard, if you're playing with keyboard and mouse, a journal will pop up, and there will definitely be an entry that just says "Kill Ketheric Thorm." Yeah. So yeah, not a spoiler.
I think that's it.
But there's other members of the family here.
Of the Ketheric Thorm family?
I think they all have that last name, right?
I don't know about any of this because I didn't see it. So you're gonna have to host your way into this one, bud.
Gotcha. Okay, let's get the bad one out of the way. Mm-hmm. There is a bar. There's
a little village. You're not saying the scene here. It is the
gotcha.
host.
Okay, so just outside of Moonrise Tower proper.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
There is like the general area, like the big area. We talked about the wilderness in Act 1. In Act 2, that area is called the Ruined Battlefield. And that's kind of like most of the zone. But there's kind of a subzone in that called Wraithwin Town. And that is like a town at the just outside, kind of like the town that would be built right outside this big fortified tower. Mm-hmm. And it's haunted like everything in this, in the shadow cursed lands. And it has a couple of points of interest here. And as I said before, not stuff that you absolutely have to handle, but we'll talk about the first thing there, which, you know, there's House of Healing, there's a bar, there's a Tollhouse, there's like a little, weird shrine, and a couple other little points of interest, Mason's Guild, etc. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the bar first. It's called the Waning Moon, and it is tended by Thistobald Thorm.
Good old Thistobald.
Good old Thistobald Thorm. What's he about?
Is this the big fella?
Yeah, the big fella with the weird mask and pipes.
I don't know what he's about. I'll just be honest with you.
Yeah.
I roll in here. He's here in SideQuest City.
Mm-hmm. He's tending bar.
I start talking to him and he's like, it looks like it's some World of Warcraft shit. It's maybe my least favorite thing in the game so far.
Same.
It's just like, you know, mini boss 1 of 4 you find in the like new expansion for WoW. You know, he's like this big hulking like stereotype of like a fat creature. You know what I mean? Like it's right out of the best designs of 2009. And he is got like all these like pumping. He looks like the like some of the things in the Undercity. I mean, you know, I keep saying World of Warcraft, but like he's so resonant with those designs. He's even got the same color palette. And he's like, here, drink my delicious brew. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. And he said, I'm going to kill you. And so I had to fight him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's not a lot to it.
Okay, we really zigged and zagged here. Because
I think can't you do some sort of challenge with him to like sip his brew or whatever, and then but it's like a maybe a Constitution save.
Yes. So the two ways this goes is, as you said, if at any point you failed the overarching skill challenge, you're going to have to fight him. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you can roll a couple of perception checks or maybe Arcana checks. And I think that the kind of the cherry on top of like the reason why I don't like this is it's, as you said, stereotype of like a fat like undead creature. Mm-hmm. And you notice
he is undead. That's a good point.
Yeah, he's apparently, according to sorcerer.net, an undead elf specifically.
Oh my god! Oh my word!
Because
elf as well.
Yeah. You can do a perception check, and you notice that he is, because he's undead and is a little Frankensteined, he's kind of stitched together, and the stitches are bulging. Like, that is a thing that you notice. So one way you can handle this outside of combat is you can sit down at the bar, and he basically says, hey, take a drink. It is awful, so it's going to be a high constitution check. That's not something Balthazar has a problem with. I can drink this all day long. I think I've got advantage on constitution saves, probably via class. But after you take a drink, he demands a story. And all of the stuff that you have kind of done so far in the game will like be a dialogue option, right? So everything from I escaped and Illithid, Nautiloid. To, you know, very specific things like if you did the Grimforge, fighting Grim fight, you can describe that, right? Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. What's kind of interesting is that all of those dialogue options will change the DC, and it's a performance check, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that the idea being you're supposed to look through those and be like, what is the most impressive feat? But you can't see what the DC is before you select it. So you'd have to like look at the Wikipedia or something in order to know, or Save Scum. All right. And so comedic rule of 3 or 4. I can't remember how many checks it is. I think it's about 3. You take a sip, Constitution save, then you tell a story, and if you're successful, he's like, oh yeah, I'll drink to that, and maybe then he'll demand you drink something else. Mm-hmm. Balthazar obviously has awful performance. Yeah. However, whenever I failed, obviously I'm saving all the time. Whenever I fail a check and I go into the fight, it's like this fight is not something I want to do because of his damage resistances. Mm-hmm. So I just save scummed and did the performances. Like I just straight up did not fight him. I like very much evaluated how long it would take to like do the fight and kind of figure that out, how to do it solo versus save scumming through 3 performances. So I did the performances. After you succeed on those skill checks, and also, you instead of doing a Constitution saving throw, you can choose to do a sleight of hand to act like you're drinking the brew, but fake it, right? In any case,
it's immoral.
Yeah, it is. I didn't do that. After you complete all of those, you see that, like, because he's drinking every time you do, you basically overload him, or like he drinks so much he splits apart.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of Mr. Creosote.
Sure, I think it's a huge fail. I think it like the idea of big stereotype of like a big fat monstrous creature and like the way you kill them is like making them indulge in gluttony. I think it sucks. I think that the fact that they had like a big arcane backpack and like pipes going into their head, this could have easily been played as, oh, you overwhelm his filtration system or weird arcane mechanism.
That's like the fight mechanic a little bit, right?
So I didn't do the fight. You're going to have to tell me about the fight. But anyway, I was just disappointed.
So I was telling you before the episode began, for some reason for this one and one other thing we're talking about in this episode, I don't have video of because I think I forgot to hit the button. But I believe the fight mechanic is whatever type of damage, it's like real Final Fantasy, whatever type of damage whatever element you hit him with. No, sorry. I believe is like a bonus action. He takes a sip, and it changes the type of elemental damage he does.
Okay.
And it changes what elemental damage he is vulnerable to. And he's got like 1 billion hit points. So you kind of have to pay attention to that stuff. So it's a gimmick fight. And it's involved in that system that you're talking about, the technology strapped to his head.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense. It also makes sense why after the first time I like got in combat with him and kind of just like examined him, like right click, examine, look at the resistance. And this is how you kind of like, for every gimmick fight, this is how you have to like figure it out. You can trial and error it, but generally if you can more or less feel out how a fight has to go by like looking at all of the buffs and debuffs and statuses an enemy has.
Yep.
But I remember looking at that and being like, I was limited enough in my ability to deal consistent high elemental damage that I was like, this is not for me. So, yeah, I just drank him under the table. He splits apart. He blows up. And that is the end of good old Thisibald Thorm just before he dies. And I think this is supposed to be the quote-unquote reward for the fight. Hey,
wait. You ready? You ready?
Uh-huh.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah?
He dies.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Just before he dies, he says, you want Father's personal, mysterious secret. No, I can't tell you. And then he's like, oh, it's buried in the tomb, Father said. I can't tell you. And that's what you get. You get that something important is buried in the tomb. Yep.
I knew that already.
Yep.
Because every other quest also tells me that.
Yeah. So I guess they added that just in case you wanted to roll into Act 2, only fight the barkeeper or only overcome this challenge.
If you were like, listen, I really like what's going on here, but really this is a barkeeper only run.
Yeah.
Speed run, but really, I don't know what exactly I'm supposed to do. Well, lo and behold. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Fun. Was the fight fun?
No.
Yeah.
It was, at this point, by the time I did it, it was kind of trivial. Like, I didn't really have to do the mechanic, you know what I mean? Like, it was, my damage output, which is an issue throughout the rest of the game, I think, on balanced difficulty. And I'm not saying, like, the game is bad at balanced. I'm not saying that. I've already played the game one time before, so I'm pretty familiar with the systems. And I really spent Act 1 maximizing my XP capability, so I wouldn't have a hard time, and I am not having a hard time. So I'm getting what I wanted, but yeah.
I think I agree. I think that if you are a very enfranchised Divinity Original Sin player, and you are playing Baldur's Gate for the first time, and you were to ask me, what if I'm only going to play this once and I kind of want a challenge, what difficulty should I play at? I would not advise you to play on balanced. I think I would say, go ahead and play tactical. Like, if that's something you want out of the game, if like it's important to you that you be a little challenged in battle, I would say, do that. And
even though someone who doesn't care about that stuff at all, like I'm not in it to like sit and puzzle my way through a turn. That's a thing you find enjoyable. I don't find that enjoyable.
Yeah. No, I think for you, balance seems fine, at least for the first playthrough.
Well, but that's what I was going to say. Like, even even my first playthrough in that, whatever, we finished it day 4 it was out, or day 5 it was out, something like that. You finished it before I did, but we were right there together in the first week. And even then, by the end of the game, I was like, this game is easy.
Yeah.
It is not a problem. So I think if you've played through the other Baldur's Gate games and you have like a little bit of a tactical understanding, you can play an XCOM game. Yeah, more than likely you are good to start the one level up. And you can always bump it back down, right?
You can, exactly. Yeah. And I think that there's it's kind of interesting to think about like why that is. And, I think that we're not even doing a really completionist run, either of us. But we are doing enough that there is just enough XP that we are going to get to the max level probably 25 to 30% of the way through Act 3. And yeah, just kind of toot along. But yeah, not super challenging. I will say, obviously, this fight would have been quite challenging for solo Balthazar, and that's why I bypassed it. For the other two mini bosses, members of the Thorm family that chill out in Wraithwin, I did have some like interesting fights. I would say some of the more interesting fights in the game for solo Balthazar.
Tell me.
Let's talk about Malice Thorm.
You're going to have to tell me who these people are.
Malice Thorm is the undead master surgeon of the House of Healing.
Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. I like House of Healing, despite the fact there's not a lot there for some reason.
Yeah, do you think that there's just a gulf between what they intended, like how big they intended it to be, and kind of what ended up getting implemented?
I don't know. Well, because we've talked before that Act 2 feels like a module. What I mean? It feels like it's popped right out of a 5th edition. Module is like chapter 2 of 7 possible chapters, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3 is really 5th edition design, I would say, in more ways than just like rules. There's some real stuff. And this is just like the kind of thing that's in a 5th edition module, just to be totally honest with you. So maybe, but also maybe not.
Yeah, no. It's the design. It's like the modular area design ethic does feel very 5e modular campaign setting.
There's like a cool little thing there.
Yeah. I am interested to talk to you about kind of how this went, because you are, at this point, you still have Shadowheart in your party, right?
Yes.
Shadowheart is...
I got Shadowheart, I got Karlach, and I got... I almost said Viconia, but it's this game's Viconia. Lae'zel.
Yeah. So Shadowheart at this point in your plot, an open Shar worshiper. That the secret is out, I imagine.
Yes.
And this is all Shar shit, right? Like you can boop into the House of Healing. It's kind of funny. There's a nurse there that like wants you to take a number, basically. And they're
she's
triaging
like a straight up vampire. She's got a great look about her. These nurses / attendants where they have they just look like vampires, right?
They do, and they've got like the clergy.
Shit.
They've got like the clergy or like nun nurse look.
Yeah, and like their eyes are covered, which is the Shar thing.
Yes,
yeah.
Really spooky. But anyway, triage nurse, she's like, hey, you're not that bad. You need to stand in line. And if you try to pass her while she's like looking at you, in her visual range, it will basically like she'll interrupt you and load you back. So you have to kind of like bypass her in some fashion. But yeah, once you get past her, and you can also like convince her that you're ill enough that you need to see the surgeon. You get a little cutscene of Malice Thorm. I believe it's Malice Thorm and 3 nurses around probably the guy having the worst day we've ever seen in a Baldur's Gate game. Do you think that's fair? Like up there?
He's the guy on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's having a bad time.
He's having a bad time. Top 3 worst times we've ever seen somebody have in a BG3 game.
Top 3 worst times. But yeah, I think you're right.
I think that there was, you remember Bodhi in BG2.
Yeah.
I think that there was some vampire victims running around, like caged up down there in Vampire Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
They were having a bad time. That was also a bad time.
Who else was having a bad... That doppelganger who was in Irenicus's dungeon, who was trapped in the, like, what do you call it? It was almost like an observation room.
Yeah.
He was set up to have a bad time. He ultimately had a better time.
Mm-hmm.
After we got in there. I wonder who else was having a bad time. Anyone in, what was it, Spellhold?
Oh, Spellhold was bad?
Yeah, anyone in there was having a bad time. I feel so confident saying that.
Yeah, I would also say, back to, expanding past just Baldur's Gate and into the Mages and Murderdads oeuvre.
Mm-hmm.
Bad time. I'm trying to remember the name. It is the first woman that you meet in Disco Elysium, and you have that talk while she's smoking a cigarette on the terrace of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
I don't know. People are screaming at the episode right now.
Disco Elysium. I'm the host, so it's my job to type this into the keyboard.
Right.
Disco
Normally,
Elysium.
I'd be typing this in furiously while you were talking, but I'm not doing that now.
You're not.
It's my job. Mm-hmm.
Looks like it is. Oh, Clausia.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think having sex with some mercenary and then like a bullet going into their mouth.
Yeah.
Mid coitus. That's a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the attendant, like the context of that occurrence.
Having to meet Harrier.
Yeah. Having to meet Mr. Dubois, Detective Dubois. Yeah. That's also a bad, like, imagine having to do that shortly after that awful experience. Or just everyone there. Yeah. I mean, there is an argument that, like, if you put a top 15, 5 of them are just meeting Detective Dubois.
Mm. You know who else was having a bad day?
Yeah.
Zan. You remember Zan?
Zan. Oh, he's of Baldur's Gate 1.
Yeah, all the way down in the Nashkel mines.
In the Nashkel mines, yeah.
Just being stuck down there until you come and I mean, he eventually had a good day, but he was having a bad time.
We have not mentioned number 1, which is Danny playing Torment: The Tides of Numenera. That might be absolutely
a bad time.
Yeah, that is the and once it gets meta, it's worse, right?
Yeah,
there's a meta multiplier at play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You go one thing removed. What about Danny's insightful wife while Danny was recording that season?
Oh, probably thinking about getting an insightful divorce from Danny, I bet. Don't you think?
I remember her saying...
probably like, I don't know, why did I get involved in this?
I remember her literally, it's the sentence, then why are you playing it? It's supposed to be fun. Just don't play it if it's not fun.
Sometimes deeply insightful, sometimes just not getting it, though, right? Like, if you can't get over that, it's real Hulk moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's never fun.
But yeah, he's having a bad day. He's really having a terrible time.
Having a terrible time. He's having a terrible time. He's getting operated on.
He's getting operated on as like a student training exercise
for the undead.
For undead, and also I guess that their eyes are covered, but I don't think they really need them to do what they're trying to do.
No, where we're going, we don't need eyes.
No. I'm wondering, because I do remember vaguely from my first playthrough, because I think I also had Shadowheart in my party at this time. And it's not purely medical and it's not purely torture. Like the surgeon, Malice, he's like given he's like expounding on theology as he is cutting this guy up. What is Shadowheart's like take on this?
I don't think she has a take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really trying to think about, because I again, this is why I don't have a video up for some reason, but I have to tell you, I don't think because basically what happened here is I charisma check, like pumped him up and made him like super cool. You know what I mean? I was like, you're doing a great job, guy. And I pumped the guy up so big that he ended up operating on himself.
Okay.
The vampire lord fella, whatever this undead guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're so good at this. You should be the guy who gets carved up, because only you are that good at it. And then they carve him up, his assistants, to learn good. I do not believe that she had anything to say about any of this.
Yeah. So I know it is possible. And I think that, it might depend on kind of where she is in her own personal quest. But she does have a couple of little, how sometimes it's not like they're fully engaged in the conversation, but they'll have a quip.
They got a little tag.
Yeah, they'll have a quip. And my recollection, and I kind of looked up a couple of links just now, she will be like, after he says some Shar stuff, basically about, we got to fucking lose our sight. Like, that's the ultimate gift of forgetting, etc. She'll just have an assignment, be like, he's right. It is true.
He's saying a lot of nonsense, but not that part.
Like, I know we're going to fight him, and I know he's like a baddie, but broken clock.
Yeah. Sometimes a baddie's right.
Yeah.
I've listened to Killmonger talking. I know what's up.
Yeah. But yeah, this is so there are, I think you solved it optimally. Having
pretty low friction.
Correct.
All told.
Correct. There is a slightly more friction version where for a lower difficulty, you can convince him to operate on, or order his nurses to operate on themselves. And then the nurses will kill each other, and then you get an opportunity to make one more DC check, but then if you fail, you kind of have to fight him alone, which is significantly easier than fighting him with the 3 nurses.
Yeah.
Or you just end up fighting the whole kit and caboodle, which, unfortunately or fortunately, that's kind of where Balthazar was. It was an interesting fight. There is a large... There's kind of like an overlook quite high above the arena, because it's like a medical...
The Overlook Hotel?
This is the Overlook Hotel. Oh, cross synergy, brand synergy.
Look at that. But it's a surgical theater.
Yeah, it's a surgical theater where
balcony. Yeah,
because there wasn't they didn't have YouTube back then.
When is back then?
Back then in the Forgotten Realms. That this is this game takes place in the Forgotten Realms in the past.
Are we not in the current moment in Forgotten? I guess not. We're 100 years after the previous Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, so we know there's a big timeline, and all of most of the D&D 5e stuff does not take place in contemporary Forgotten Realms with social media and the internet, right?
Steam engines, etc.
Yeah. Etc.
All right, wait. All right, hold on. I gotta look this up. When does BG3 take place? GR. Give me Dale Reckoning. Takes place in 1492. How do I keep forgetting this? 1492.
I knew the answer. I wanted you to. I wanted you to go through this again.
The spell plague was in 1385, so it was pretty far back.
I want you to remember this date, Cameron, and I want you to kind of orient yourself around okay, what does that date mean? Where is it compared to the big landmark events in the Forgotten Realms? Because very late in Act 3, we are going to...
It's the year of 3 ships.
Yeah, it's the year of 3 ships. Very late into Act 3, we are going to discover stuff about the game and the history that you are going to be so disappointed in terms of the timeline. I'm just calling it now, 10 episodes ahead of time.
So disappointed.
You're gonna. You will feel like it's a betrayal.
I need to figure something out. When did the ball spawn crisis happen? Okay, ball spawn crisis. Give me Dale Reckoning.
Are they converting it to Anno, to like the year of our Lord?
Yeah. They're like, well, it happened in 1989. That's 1369. Mm-hmm. Spell Plague was 1385. Damn, that was a bad 20 years in the Forgotten Realms.
Yes.
God, you never want to put the gods in physical form.
It's really bad.
It's gonna fuck you up for 20 years, easy. Mm-hmm. All right, so okay, we got that, and then 1492. So it's 100 years, 1369 to 1492. It's 130 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
It's beyond living memory of like humans, right?
Yeah, lucky humans are not the predominant species running around.
I guess they are and aren't. It's weird, in terms of political entities. It seems like
they're not. Yeah, you would think immediately that elves would create kind of like an eternal state.
Yeah.
And lord over everyone. Like, there's just no way with elves in a Forgotten Realms, like semi-realistic feudal society thing.
That is actually like concerned with like historical materialism and
just that like things happen and like the movement of material determines the structure of society, right?
Yeah.
And Forgotten Realms got a little bit of that, right?
Sure.
But there's just no world in which like the elves don't control every part of everything.
Yes.
Or the dwarves. I guess the dwarves also and I guess in this they do, right?
Well, it's really interesting because
system, I'll tell you that. Act 3 spoilers.
Oof.
I know.
No, don't. Oh.
Tokenalia, baby.
We can't escape it.
We all live in the shadow of some like weird English professor who lived in, the early 20th century.
Weird English professor
like,
who's just like dealing with his trench trauma.
It would be better if this were all Robert E. Howard stuff. Because he died in his 20s. Mm-hmm. And he was a real weird guy up until that point.
Yeah.
And had some hang-ups, but at least they were interesting. They were varied. They were not just normal hang-ups.
What we are supposed
Robert
to take
Robert E. Howard
away?
was like, you know what the coolest thing would be? If a hot woman pirate would hang out with me. That would be cool. You know what I mean? That's the kind of hang-up I'm interested in, broadly. I think that adds some flavor to your fantasy universe. Mm-hmm. Basically, he invented the first Salmon Havarian.
It's true. Yeah.
But it was the hottest woman on the ocean. Because he was like 21 or whatever. You know what I mean? He's just some guy.
You would rather have that be the cornerstone of your like fantasy building instead of...
Yeah, then fucking Tom Bombadil? Hell yeah. What do dolly diddly delay? Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, yeah, sometimes there are creatures and they just got bad genes and they're orcs.
Or they're cursed by God.
Or they're cursed by God.
Or some people are genetically greedy. Yeah. Yes. Are fantasy genetically greedy? Yeah, that's not my favorite. That's not my thing.
I think that
sometimes you touch a sword that makes you go insane. I like that. That's fantasy for me, right?
That is.
And that's actually maybe where Tolkien and Robert E. Howard touch each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes you touch a thing that's so cool it makes you go crazy. I like that. That's good.
That fits. I think that we're supposed to believe the reason why humans run everything is there's like something especially wrong with them. Like elves don't. There's something weird about elves that make them like be like, I don't want to do statecraft. Like I'm just not. They're not interested in it.
They're lazy.
Why that would ever be the case, I can't fathom. Right. Yeah. But that is what I'm supposed to believe in the.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that checks out.
But yeah. So in any case, elves. This guy's also an elf because he is a family member of the Sebald Thorm. I guess is he the son? I guess.
I don't know, man. I didn't read a lore book about all this, so I can't tell you.
Yeah.
And Ketheric Thorm, they didn't spoilers for when we get there, in a real way. No, we already know about him. We already met him.
We already met him.
I forgot. We talked about him last episode. They couldn't pay the old J. Jonah Jameson enough money to like explain his whole family.
It's true. They only care about like the nuclear family with him.
Well, I've got a son named Theobald. I don't know. Maybe he's a brother.
He is a son. They are all sons.
Is Ketheric Thorm an elf? Looks like he is.
Yeah,
he's an elf.
He's an elf.
He's got a big ass beard.
He's got a big-ass beard and big, pointy ears.
Huh. I guess I just kind of thought that was maybe part of his helmet or something.
It's actually interesting because when you go to bg3.wiki, it says he's a half-elf, and then when you go to all of the other Thorms that hang out in, the village, it just says undead elf.
Can you be an undead half-elf? Is that possible?
I think it's possible, but there's something, because also Ketheric Thorm is also undead. Like at any point in the game, even when you first meet him, you can right-click him, hit examine, and it's like, he's definitely undead. You can see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, somehow his children are all categorized elf. Maybe there's some like blood quantum weirdness happening here. There's some like measurement
some
of
rounding.
Particular.
Some magical rounding.
Yeah, I don't know the historical analog, but that's like maybe Ketheric Thorm's partner or the mother of his children is a full-blooded elf, so they're all three-quarter elves. And once you're a three-quarter elf, when I right-click you and hit examine, it says elf.
Do you think maybe the game itself does the rounding?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's
like,
rounding.
Sven looked at it and was like, ultimately a computer must round your genetic background to its most common denominator.
I don't think that it's improper that we have these tangents, because when you boot this game up and hit start, you are seconds away from seeing a screen that says select your race. It's just embedded in this game.
I mean, you're in it. You're under a 2-ton stone block of just like weird ideology the minute you begin engaging with this game, right? Mm-hmm. So, just getting the air crushed out of you, deal with it. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so...
so Malice, I fight him because I can't lie or convince him to kill himself or his weird, cool, creepy nurses, and so I have to fight all of them. He's really tough. The only thing that gets me out of here alive is, at this point, I have switched my weapon from the returning pike to the lightning jabber, which I picked up from the Koatoa village in this act. It is a spear that has some additional lightning damage. It does not have the returning property, which means I would normally only get to throw it once. However, I have respect Astarion as a Eldritch Knight fighter. I have given, so like I'll camp, then when I wake up, I give the lightning jabber to Astarion. I tell Astarion, bind the weapon to you. Astarion does so, and then Astarion gives me the lightning jabber, because when you bind a weapon in Baldur's Gate, either as a warlock or an Eldritch Knight, what you're doing is you're appending the bound property to the weapon. It isn't actually bound to a character. You're just adding a specific property to the weapon that is transferable, and then Balthazar is able...
some double-sided tape.
Yes, exactly.
You just kind of take some... I would be a profound alchemist in this mystical universe.
Because of your tape mastery?
Yeah, because of my capability to use double-sided tape.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating the way that works. I feel that's a real... you're sitting at the table and you're reading the rules and you're trying to figure out a way to like ruin your DM's day.
It is. And I think that for a lot of people...
It's disrespectful.
The appeal of Baldur's Gate 3 is to do all of that, to have an outlet for all of that behavior without being antisocial.
That's interesting. Right. You said for most people when it's definitely you. Like unvarnished, that is the reason why you enjoy these games. Right? Mm-hmm. But I like that you universalize that.
Well,
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't do any of this.
You might be the weirdo, right?
I just play rules as written. I just go, you put a sword in my hand, I hit stuff with it. Like, yeah. I don't read the text of weapons. We talked about it at one point. Has it already happened? I can't remember. Oh, yeah, it has. Where I was like using the halberd that electrocutes me every now and again. And I had no idea. I think at this point in the game, I'm still using it.
I wonder if there's any footage that has been uploaded to an episode where Karlach's turn gets skipped because she's stunned.
Not yet, but there will be, I'm certain.
Okay.
Like, by this point, Like at the point we are recording, no. At the point that we are here, no question.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably happened 10 times at this point.
Yeah.
Once you told me about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's why that keeps happening.
Yeah. Occasionally, I'll just get a couple fewer turns from Cullagh than I was expecting
Cullagh's
in
just
an
like
average
busy
battle.
or whatever. And I go, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, she's
whatever.
taking a call.
Yeah, she's got something going on. I don't know. It's not my business.
But anyway, so the lightning jabber thrown from this balcony in the medical theater, adding some additional gravity damage with 3 attacks per round with my bonus, with my regular attack. Actually, even it's only 2 because I don't yet have my final 8th level to get that 3rd level of rogue for the thief subclass. It's relatively easy. The fight, I think, normally would be quite difficult because Thorm, one of the things he can do on his turn is just resurrect one of the nurses. So even if you kill them, he can pop them back up. There's at some point in this fight, I pick up a nurse that has reached me on the balcony, and then I throw her down into the bottom of the medical theater into another nurse and KO them both. That's pretty fun. But yeah, otherwise it is Balthazar doing Balthazar stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's the House of Healing. There's a pretty important quest item that you can pick up here that I don't think that we've really talked through yet, and I think this is the episode to talk through it.
There's a sleepy guy at the Inn of the Last Light.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Art Cullagh.
And roundabout, you go in there, and wouldn't you know it, in that room is the Duke that we rescued at the Joaquin's Rest. Do you remember that?
Not the building? Duke, maybe, but the
Oh yeah, she's not a Duke. She's a counselor or something like that.
Yeah, she's one of those jobs.
She's not Duke. She's not equivalent to Duke Belt.
Well, I think that definitely. I don't know about Belt, but definitely Duke Ravengard outranks her.
Yeah. 100%. Duke Alder Ravengard's he's the Grand Duke, right? Something like that.
He's like the
big boy.
He's the head of the FBI.
But, yeah.
And
she's assistant director.
He's somehow the head of the FBI and also the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, and also the Secretary of State. Also.
He's got a lot of hats.
Hey, can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. Spoilers for the Act 3 of this game.
Okay,
we did talk about how I've completed the game.
Yeah,
there's no reference to Duke Belt that I could find.
Oof.
And I'm fucking mad about it. I'm livid.
Yeah.
I'm losing my shit. I feel confident by the end of this thing, toward the end of the season, we will interview someone from Larian. I think I can make that happen. And that's the first fucking question out of my mouth.
Okay, well,
Duke Belt, where is?
Okay, so we've got some time before the end of the season. In the comments, if you read a book in a library, in the veterinary office of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, check my work on this one.
And it said Duke Belt. You need to comment now before Cameron makes an ass of himself with Sven or somebody from Larian. Please.
Yeah. And probably
save
end
us.
up making a ass out of you and me.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
When you presuppose certain things that aren't necessarily true.
That's right. What was I talking about before I started going off on this?
Duke Belt, but also Art Cullagh.
Oh yeah, so he's asleep. He's a guy, and he's mumbling and stuff. And you talk to her, and she says, "Hey, I think this guy's important. Anyway, I'm going to Baldur's Gate." And she takes the hell off out into the mystery out there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which is wild. So she's dead. That's the assumption. All right, R.I.P. to her.
Yeah. I
talked to Halsin. I don't know exactly how this works out, but anyway, point being is that we kind of on-road ourselves into Halsin's quest. Halsin being the druid who came with us from the Druid Grove.
It's his big quest.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, I want to get rid of this damn shadow curse.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that sounds great to me because it's biting my ass anytime I'm walking around if I don't jingle this fairy bell or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he says, let's do that. And I think it's going to be involved with Art Cullagh, the sleeping fellow. And so Halsin's just chilling out here, waiting on waiting on that to be resolved. You go to the House of Healing, and one of the items you can pick up in the House of Healing is like Art Cullagh's guitar.
Yep.
You take it to Art Cullagh. You jam on it a little bit. Second important Act 2 mandolin jam, by the way, which is an interesting decision, design-wise. He wakes up. No, he doesn't wake up. Hold on. Halsin says, oh, we got to do a thing to...
Art does wake up. So Art...
He does wake up and we go to the Shadowfell?
So yeah, Art wakes up and...
I don't know why I'm blanking on this part of it. I know the next part.
And tells you, because Art has kind of been in a somewhat coma. He's been
sleeping.
Yeah, he's been
sleeping.
He's been
mumbling.
sleeping. Occasionally, he'll just kind of like mumble some words. But once you wake him up, you find out that he got caught in the Shadowfell at some point, and he knows about another entity in the Shadowfell that Halsin knows about, and like that is like the keystone of of how the Shadow Curse works, and Halsin comes up with a plan on how to end the Shadow Curse, and it's all about an entity.
More than this, it's not he was just in the Shadowfell. He's been sleeping in the Shadowfell.
Yeah, like he's
been there for eternity, and he's been there for like 100 years. Did you know that?
Like, is it like a weird time dilation thing?
He has just been in this like shadow coma because it's something about his armor is from like the Ballspawn crisis times.
Lord. That is not Art Cullagh died. I never met him. He got turned into a zombie, and then I killed him.
He was the sleepiest zombie on Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, he's like, I've been in there. There's some shit over there. I bet we can fix it. Halsin says, let's go over here and do a protect the point quest. You know, let's do 5 rounds of combat where you got to protect the point. And I'm going to go into the Shadowfell and get shit ripping. There's a little kid in there I got to rescue to get rid of the curse.
Yeah.
So we do that.
I'm a little, I think that there are a couple of things that I kind of like completely cut out of my playthrough. More than a couple. Yeah, couple hands I cut out of my playthrough. But I liked this defend the point battle on my first playthrough. It's fun. It gives you an opportunity to like really lean into some AoE spells that you might not otherwise play with. And I imagine it was pretty easy for Ticklevar and his sorceress armaments to handle this.
No, it's harder than you think. If only because they spawn so many enemies.
They do, yeah. Okay,
you know,
so it's like even if you're slot thing.
Yeah, I mean, even at one point I was like fireballing twice a turn.
Yeah, you go through level 3 spell slots pretty quick when you're doing that.
Right, and so I mean, it was fine. I think one of my characters got downed in the last round, and easy to clean up. It was not a problem. But yeah, he pops this little kid back out with him.
Yeah.
It's like uncursed kid. And he says something to the effect of like, I'm incomplete. You know, he's basically the spirit of nature here. Who has been
the kid ain't a kid.
No, he's been like alienated from his soul or something. It's a little unclear to me. It's some real fantasy bullshit.
Yeah, I think that the Shadow Curse has like split his soul in twain, and there was like a part of it that got banished in the Shadowfell, and the part of it that remained tethered to the material plane got infected by the Shadow Curse. And
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
Because I think he is the Shadow Curse. Because of the way this gets resolved. Like, the kid is not epiphenomenal to the Shadow Curse. The kid is the Shadow Curse.
Okay.
It is the fact that because you find a little other kid who looks just like him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over in the thing. And
Oliver.
like, obviously, yeah, right. So, and obviously, once you figure this out, you're like, oh, these are the same child, right?
Yeah, because they look very, very similar. One's just shadowfied.
Right. And when you staple them back together, because you have to do another kind of defend the point thing. And when you staple them back together after he does this little invocation, that's the thing that heals the Shadow Curse. It's still like kicking around. You know, it's not fully gone yet. It's going to take a long time to like blow away or whatever it has to do.
Yeah, I think nature has, quote unquote, nature must reassert itself in this region.
Yeah. But the reason I'm making the distinction about that is it's when that kid does the ritual to kind of bring his two pieces. They're not together. They just like will hang out now.
No, they are not. So I think that there is some dialogue about like you asking Halsin, well, will they reincorporate and become one? And Halsin is like, not necessarily.
Right.
And you can try to convince Oliver to like reincorporate with Thaniel, but it's some real internal family system stuff that is leaked
they're
its
just
way.
like two kids, right?
Yeah,
and so
it's like that is a different part of the same like part that is not a part Thaniel. But there's Oliver and Thaniel, and they become friends and they establish a relationship. And there's like this alienated part of Thaniel named Oliver that has different characteristics, and them no longer having animosity towards one another, like them reaffirming some relationship lifts the curse. You're right. No, this is weird and messy.
Yeah, it's just it's cool. It's not a problem, but I do think that like the game implies them being broken apart from one another because they are like, they're not a kid, right? They are nature itself.
Yeah, they are.
Being broken apart is the problem that created the curse. So what is there's a little bit of like open
chicken
question.
and egg thing about, okay, well, what was the curse? Was if the curse was the splitting apart of Oliver and Thaniel, then what caused the split? Oh, I thought the curse caused the split. Oh, wait, what?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no. So, and maybe that just is like, it's all this like Char shit going around, right?
Sure. I have to say, I've been playing through Act 2 with a friend of mine on like co-op on Xbox. They're in Act 2. They are asking pointed questions about, so what caused the curse? Wait, how does this relate? And, I think you just got to roll with it, to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes there's a curse. I don't know. Like, I don't need to know. It's not it's none of my business.
Sure. This does not bother you as much as the complete lack of elf supremacy in the geopolitical
That doesn't
sphere.
even bother me. That's just interesting.
Sure.
That they choose not to go there. None of these even rate a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to Duke Belt.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a thing I'm pissed off about.
Yeah.
I'm vibrating with anger right now.
Yeah.
I'm seething. I got one bloodshot eye. So, that is what it is. Yeah. What else? What else you got here, host?
Well, there's one more member of the Thorm family you can go confront, and it is the Toll Keeper. And there's a Tollhouse. There's the Wraithwind Tollhouse, and you cannot engage at all with, God, how do you even pronounce this name?
Well, I didn't engage with it, and here's why.
Okay.
I've played this game twice in completion, right? Both times, while I walked by this building, my camera clipped through the wall and showed me a bunch of glowing skulls.
Yeah.
And I just decided I don't need to know about that.
So you've never done this fight?
I've never done this. And this time I didn't do it, partially because I forgot, but also partially because my relationship with the glowing skulls in Act 3 is so violent that I chose not to engage with this. Yeah. So how do you pronounce this person's name?
How would you?
I don't know.
Like
Goth. Geringoth.
In there like another
Geringoth. Gotha.
Yeah, I guess the question is it Garingotha?
Garingotha. Who cares?
Garingurta.
Greg.
Greg. Yeah. She is the unique, intelligent undead, the Tollmaster of Wraithwind Tollhouse. Made by, seemingly made of gold. She's driven to endless greed.
She's made of gold?
Seemingly.
Huh.
seemingly. She's in like a full body, almost Smo-esque gold suit.
Cool.
And this is actually the easiest. When I was doing my first playthrough, where I had some amount of charisma that was not 8, I think this was actually the easiest fight to to bypass. Just because you could talk to her and she's like, hey, I need gold. And you can actually start by just like tossing her a gold piece. And she's like, no, I need more. I need a lot more. And you know, you can, there's like deception, intimidation, and persuasion ways of dealing with this. And one of the weird ones is like a persuasion check where you can be like, well, hey, who's overseeing you? Who's your supervisor? I want to talk to the manager. And with a DC 21 persuasion check, she will just like short circuit and turn into a big pile of gold. However, Balthazar does not have any charisma. So I'm unable to like engage with this fight and short circuit it. So I do have to fight. And something that I found out, there's a little story in my save files here.
Yeah.
There is save number 5. I've got House of Healing, fight, aborted Tollhouse fight. Then save number 6, Tollhouse fight, parentheses, long. And you look over there and it's 1.2 gigabytes of just this fight. So unfortunately what occurred is sometimes when you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and you're not like advancing a plot and like exploring a plot critical area, you aren't getting autosaves, right?
Yeah.
And if you aren't resting, you're not autosaving. So I started this fight and then I lost for a very funny reason that I'll get to.
And then I lost all of your progress.
And I lost a lot of time. And it, you know, classic Baldur's Gate CRPG scenario of you looking and seeing how far away your last save is and doing the calculus of, do I, like, there's only one quick save and it's like right at the beginning of this fight. After I had already made a severe error. Do I try to make this work? Do I try to win from here when I'm down? Or do I reload? And I opted for, okay, I am going to try to win from here. But it's bad. So one thing that I did not run into in my first playthrough is I purchased a lot of stuff, and I think you mentioned this in an Act 1 episode of the show where you say you got a lot of mouths to feed, right? Yeah. You got a big party. You got to buy a bunch of stuff. They all, like, we counted the number of rings.
8.
It's a lot.
4 capes, 8 rings.
It's a lot of little knickknacks and equipment and accessories. Yeah. Balthazar doesn't have to buy a lot of stuff. In fact, like the vast majority of the best in slot equipment I've already, acquired in Act 1. When I say best in slot, I mean for the specific Tavern Brawler thrower build.
Yeah.
So I've just been accumulating coin. I've been accumulating an entire like party's worth of coin with barely spending any. So I've got thousands of gold in my inventory. This boss has a attack that deals damage to you, and the modifier is how much coin is in your inventory.
No.
Oh no. So the game starts, and the save I have to work from is after the boss one-shots me, and the only reason I don't die is the half-orc racial ability that, like, once per long rest when you die, instead of dying, you're at 1 HP.
Oh, that's interesting. Eventually, clerics can get that.
Yeah, Death Ward, right?
Yep, maybe, I don't know.
Classic metagamey hyper-optimization move. You just make a bunch of hireling clerics and give everybody in your party, after every long rest, Death Ward for 0 effective spell slots.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? I fell asleep. What was that?
My problem was I didn't do real optimization is you want a bunch of hireling clerics to cast Death Ward on your party so you don't burn those spell slots.
But you get it automatically.
Oh, really? Like a passive Death Ward, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, that's kind of like where I have to start like my first attempt, and the save before that, I'm able to like reload. And I'm like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop all of my money, right? Okay. And then that way I can avoid getting one shot immediately. So I got to burn like a turn, or I guess it's not a burn because you can drop coins for a free action. I do that. Then the Toll Collector, this boss, uses another special ability. There are coins, individual coins on little stacks of coins strewn all over the second level. And and it's kind of like fun because you think that this is some design where you go up the level and you're kind of like following the coins around, and they kind of lead you inevitably to the boss that's patrolling around. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out that's not just window dressing, because the boss also has ability that says combustible coins enchant a pile of coins to explode.
That's good.
It deals 3d8 force damage.
Great. It's like a fireball.
It's like a fireball, but there's like one round in initiative where it like shows a red outline of the coins that are about to explode, right?
And you get a little uh-oh.
You get a little uh-oh. And it tells you don't stand in the fire.
Great.
So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place here where either I am eating the like avarice ability that like reduces me to 0 hit points. It is for every 500 gold a character is carrying, it deals 8d12 damage.
Maybe you should be a little less greedy.
At this point, I've got, 4,000 or 5,000 gold. So it's
4
like
billion golds.
It's auto kill. Or I drop my pile of coins and then she casts combustible coins on me.
Yeah.
So what follows is I'm looking at the fight here.
It's like throwing all your money.
Yes, this is where I land. I land on.
Listen to that. This is a problem solver's mind.
Yeah,
I have over here.
Yeah,
I knew immediately in my heart what the true solution was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
throw the money away.
This is the thing. Is like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fight over here on this side of the Tollhouse, and I'm going to take all of my coins, right click, and throw the pile, which I think is very funny that you do bag it up before you throw it. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be very funny if it was like when you throw a giant thing of coins that aren't in a bag, it would just be, 4,000 unique objects that immediately crashes your computer and blows your circuit breaker.
Right. Electrocutes you.
Electrocutes you.
For the hubris.
So throw my coins to the other side of the room, then fight her on the opposite side. You cannot really... So, like, each of these skulls are, like, a visage of heartlessness, a visage of greed. They all have, like, their individual names. Each one you kill destroys a piece of her armor and reduces, like, the immense amount of damage resistance that she has. Mm-hmm. So, like, all told, like, a very interesting fight. The really funny thing is I spend, like, 30 minutes plotting out, like, how to avoid both getting one shot and getting my coins blown up. And then she finally does use the coin combustion ability, and I like see it out. It does not destroy the coins.
They're just explosive.
An explosion occurs centered on a pile of coins, which they themselves are not combusted or destroyed. So flavor fail. I think I would have felt a lot better about spending all the time feeling clever had the coins actually been destroyed. But
right, sure.
Still a very like interesting fight in some ways. And she drops one of the coolest items in the game that I don't think I ever really played with. But she drops. You remember that the Twist of Fortune? Oh, no, you don't. You never fought her. It was something that I linked to you. It's a Morning Star with the unique weapon action Blood Money.
Yeah. It kind of gives you the ability she's got.
Yeah, so you get to deal additional piercing damage per 300 gold that the target possesses. So you can combo and, like, I think reverse pickpocket someone, basically, and, like, dump a bunch of gold on them and then use Blood Money to deal a bunch of extra damage. But yeah, that's a fun little fight that I enjoyed, but it was a little hairy. There'll be a lot of combat footage of Balthazar at like 1 health running around trying to chase down these skulls and protect my monies.
Right. Which is important.
I guess. I probably, to be honest, I probably didn't spend it by the end of the game. It was one of those things.
Great.
Yeah. Just pure excess.
Yeah, I ended I ended the game with like a roughly $1 billion.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
We'll talk about like the sheer amount of resources that the game throws at you by the time you're in Act 3, because that's when you really start noticing. I think that the novelty of getting a lot of cool magical items, that kind of ramps up in Act 2, and you do feel like, oh wow, the game's being really generous and this is fun, and I can kind of like move these items around to get really strong party members. Mm-hmm. But by the time you're in Act 3, you're like, oh Lord, okay, well, here's another, super powerful set of heavy armor. I guess that's great.
It is great.
Mm-hmm. What else we got here? Any kind of big updates for you as far as your characters, your like party members, quest updates? I guess not. We're kind of in no man's land as far as Act 2 is concerned.
Yeah,
right?
The next episode I'll have quite a few, obviously.
Yeah.
I think by this point I've like gotten to the next step of the Lae'zel romance, but I think we'll do that at the end of Act 2. I think that's
that makes sense.
A good place to do that. There's the little Sharin, I don't know, what is it called?
Sharin Sanctuary.
Sharin Sanctuary, it's just like you gotta do a little like puzzle
in
the middle of this little town that we're talking about, and you can go underneath it, and there's just like a little Sharin tomb down there. It's not particularly interesting, but it does exist.
It exists. It is a, there are a series of, if you're really min-maxing it, there's a lot of buffs in Act 1 and Act 2 especially that are like long-term, like long rest buffs, right? So it sticks on you for the full long rest. Mm-hmm. And these are really powerful if you're able to like succeed on the saving throws for charisma, intelligence, and wisdom. So they're all the mental stats, quote unquote. You can get +5 to each of those statistics. Mm-hmm. So I know from people that have like tried to do solo honor modes, oftentimes you will wait to turn in one of the Myconid Sovereigns quest until you are like halfway through Act 2 before you're locked out of the Act 1 areas. And you will stack all 3 of these buffs and his buff. And you can like stack a bunch of these. Oh, and one of the Lathander buffs that you get. Mm-hmm. And you can like have all of these active at once, and they're just kind of like active until you long rest. So they're powerful, though. I imagine Ticklevar probably easily got the charisma buff here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was not an issue.
Mm-hmm. Probably weren't in a position to really need it for reasons we were talking about.
That's also part of it, too, is it's like, I'm sure that like in honor mode, some of that stuff is worthwhile, but
yes, yeah.
You were describing the thing as just like wholly gameplay-wise unnecessary.
Yeah. Are you casting Magic Missile a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's a level 1 spell. A lot of the times you'll end up with a, 1 or 2 creatures, they got like 3 hit points each.
Yeah.
You gotta clean them up. Bing, bang, boom.
That fits.
You got
I like
some,
that. I do like
know.
the upcasted magic missile. I like being able to pick like 3 different targets and slam them all for,
Oh, there's going to be parts at the end of this game where it's like the highest level spell slot. 45 magic missiles come flying out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need it sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes you just want to hit someone for like a guaranteed 22 damage.
Yeah. But otherwise, like the
get
double fireball, is that the Ticklevar special?
Depends on the fight.
Yeah.
Ticklevar is an AoE expert. So you're going to get the fireball. You're going to get Ice Storm,
Oh, yeah. That's
knocking
the one
people down
that
and getting concentration out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one that it doesn't do damage, but it utterly messes people up. Like coats the ground with ice and ruins concentration.
Mm-hmm. There's 2. There's like Ice Fireball that does some of that, and then I believe Ice Storm is the one that's that. Like ruins concentration. It's going to knock your ass down. All kinds of stuff happens. Mm-hmm. We will talk about that extensively in the next episode.
Well, speaking of next episode, let's telegraph it.
Sure.
We're going to be going into the Temple of Shar. This is kind of the beating heart of the plot of Act 2. So the whole episode is going to be the Temple of Shar and figuring out the big plot stuff there. And then after that, we will be wrapping up Act 2 in episode 11. So did you get your goof out, buddy?
I feel begoofed. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Because there's going to be no time for it in the next 2
In the next episode, there's no goofs? No time for goofs?
No, we got to do so much stuff. We got to we got to have all these. There's going to be trials. There's going to be an imposter.
What?
Yeah, there's an imposter.
There's an imposter?
There's somebody who has a name that is impossible.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And there's going to be a big dilemma for one of your
sort of big problem
for one of your characters. It's less of a dilemma for Balthazar, but yeah, I imagine there'll be a big dramatic
dilemma
moment
over here than you might think too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
We'll figure that out.
I'm excited about it. So anyway, that'll be episode 10.
Yeah, we'll be back soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, click the button.
He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know all this. So when I start saying this in every episode, he turns his brain off. He quits listening.
Click one of the links in the description below the video. Hit control, like hold control on your keyboard and click all of them. And then find the one that has like a link so that you can deplete your own bank account and transfer it elsewhere. I think that you can also attach a credit card to it, so it wouldn't necessarily deplete your bank account immediately. There could be up to a month delay on that, depending on when your credit card payment date is.
Yeah. So
do that. And also there are other shows. There's Stephen King show. There's book reading show.
Yep.
There's the other more serious book reading show.
Got it in 3.
Damn. Yeah, it's nice.
Wow. Listen to that. Well, we'll be back in 2 weeks with more Mages and Murderdads. We're going down the Shar hole.
Ciao.
Wise. So sad the wise are no more.